Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Jay, and I'll be your host for today. And with me is, well, sometimes he likes to call himself the Invisible Man, Clifton. How are you doing today?
I spiked my hair up for this episode so I'd be in the right mood.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah.
You wearing like a white t-shirt with the sleeves rolled up?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. And there's no cigarettes either.
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, speaking of that, what are we listening to this week?
We are listening to the debut album by Johnny Respect, Blue Collar Moxy.
Was this hard to listen to?
No, they're actually on Spotify and those kinds of places. Spotify has both of their Bulletproof albums and then like a single they put out later by themselves.
Another question for you. Was this played in youth group?
You know, I don't think it was, Jay. I don't remember it
Certainly
being played in youth groups, so...
Yeah, certainly not in mine. Maybe somebody's.
Yeah. The cool youth groups out there.
Are we getting preached at on this one?
A little bit, but not overly preached at. There's some Jesus-y stuff in it, but even the Jesus-y stuff I think is not very Jesus-y. We'll get to it though.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fair. Well, before we move on, I want to remind everyone to visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute to get extended episodes and hopefully some bonus stuff that will get loaded up there soon. Hint, hint, Clifton.
I almost thought about editing it last week, but then I was like, nope, I got to get ready for this episode too, because we're getting these done quickly because we're going to a festival at the end of the month.
It's true. Priorities, right?
Yes.
Okay, so back to Johnny Respect. Clifton, tell us a little bit about the band.
All right. So Johnny Respect began in 1996 in Detroit, Michigan. They were probably originally referred to as Adventures of Johnny Respect, as far as I can tell, because of, so I found there's a book put out there called Seen and Unseen, Alex Delavan. It's basically show flyers from a venue in Lansing, Michigan called The Underground. And Johnny Respect was playing there as early 1997 under the name The Adventures of Johnny Respect. If you're not a patron, you might want to become a patron because I'm going to have on the patron post, I will have the full album artwork, which we usually have on there, scanned and posted. But I'm also going to have some of the show flyers from that book. And then in October 1st, 1996, they released Adventures of Johnny Respect on 2 Jake Records. This is an EP of 4 songs on cassette and 7-inch, all those songs would actually be re-released on this album here that we're going to cover today. And at that time, this demo EP thing listed the band members as John Moustakis. Oh no.
I was thinking Moustakis, but...
Moustakis? John Moustakis on guitar and vocals. Phil Smith on bass and vocals. And Mark Pulst on drums. It also listed Dave Raymer as their manager. Sometime after that, I don't know when, a second guitarist joined, Sam Oginski. And then in 1997, they signed a development contract with 5 Minute Walk. That's the label that Five Iron Frenzy is on, for example. And the 5 Minute Walk put Ballad of the Invisible Man on their Take Time to Listen Volume 3. And at this time, Johnny Respect also went on the road with Five Iron Frenzy for a little tour. You can actually find some of those records on Internet Archives. There's a record of them playing a show with the Insiders and Five Iron Frenzy at the same time. But for whatever reason, they didn't sign with 5 Minute Walk. But later in 1997, they signed with Bulletproof Records. You'll remember Bulletproof from Atlanta. They had Squad 5-0 at this time. So they went out to Atlanta and recorded their debut album, this one, produced by J.C. Richardson. I don't know who J.C. Richardson is, but he did a lot of Bulletproof stuff. He also produced the first Dear Ephesus album, which was also on Bulletproof. There's also a J.C. Richardson who did sound for Archer, season 2 through season 14. And Archer is made in Atlanta, so maybe that's the same guy. I don't know. There's also another one on LinkedIn who owns Otterbox. I don't know. Sometime probably in late 1997, Johnny respected their debut album, Blue Collar Moxy. And from what I can tell, all the guys were about 21 years old at the time of this release.
So just before we go on, because you got me thinking about it, it makes me wonder, had this come out on 5 Minute Walk, if it would have sounded any differently, just because it most likely would have had a different producer.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we can talk more about that when we get to the sound of the album. But
and I think we can talk about it when we get to Ballad of the Invisible Man, because I think that song was recorded for 5 Minute Walk for the Take Time to Listen, Volume 3. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Clifton, do you happen to remember when you first heard this?
I wish I could. I don't. I think, though, that there was some buzz in the magazines before this thing came out, really laying on the whole, this is going to be punkabilly type thing, So probably because of that, my friends and I probably got it like right when it came out.
It's funny. I kind of remember the same thing, whether it was like in HM or I don't know, one of those 7-Ball, one of those magazines. I think they must have run a big ad with this album, because I think I remember seeing hype about it before too. And it's the same thing. I think me or one of my friends, because you're always like trading CDs and stuff back then, somebody got a hold of it, I think around the time it came out as well.
Okay. So. Did you listen to this back then?
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I remembered more than stuff came back to me as I was listening to it.
Okay, cool.
But how did you feel about it at the time?
I fucking loved it at the time. I think this album has a distinct sound to it. It's obviously pretty punk, and it has the rockabilly claims, or punkabilly claims, which is true to an extent. But I think, whether the punkability makes it all the way through the album on every song, I think they still just have a unique sound that is Johnny Respect on this album. And, that was enjoyable.
I'm going to make a bold statement here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think this is rockabilly as much as or punkabilly as much as I think it might be like punky doo-wop. Sure, it has more of it's got more of like a doo-wop kind of sound versus like, I don't know, when I think of rockabilly, a little bit more like Elvis-y, a little more out of control, a little more, this has a lot of background vocals and a lot of like, kind of like a doo-wop early 50s, like vibe to me.
I agree.
Oh, well, this was not a bold statement then. Okay. Do you have any fond memories of this album?
I mentioned last time when we talked about doing this album that, I got in trouble, a friend of mine and I got in trouble because one of the songs says the word suck. We'll get into that a little bit later. Basically,
we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Yeah. So basically, my friend and I were in his living room listening to this album very loudly one day when his parents were gone. That's why we got to listen to it loudly. And in the living room, not in his room. See, back then, like, my parents and his parents, like most places I went, like they actually had like sound systems in the living room. Do you remember that, Jay?
I do. Yeah. It's funny. Yeah. Like nobody has that anymore. It's like people have like a Bluetooth speaker maybe.
Yeah. But there was a sound system in the living room, a big one with like really nice speakers, and so we were listening to it and they were really loud. And his parents came home basically like right as one of the songs was saying something about people sucking, and they heard it and we had to turn it off. And he got grounded and I had to go home and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay. I have more questions when we get to that song.
Yeah.
Any songs stand out to you from your memories?
I think the one that stands out, like that I can remember that I could always remember the title for was Anti-Sock. I think it's a legitimately good song. There's a lot of good songs on here, but that's kind of the one that just sticks with you, I think.
Yeah, funny. I remember FX. I didn't
Yeah,
know that was the name of it until I went back and heard it, and I was like, I must have put this on like a tape compilation or something. Like that was the one I remembered the most, and I don't know
yeah.
why I loved that one, but
It's funny because I love that one too, and I actually put it on the list that I want to talk about today. But I think we're not going to talk about it because I just couldn't think of anything to say about it. Like it's a good song, right? But it's just a good song. There's not much to say about it.
well, we'll find out when we get there.
Okay.
Okay. Before we jump in, anything you expected, didn't expect before you listened to it again? Anything like that?
Yeah, I remember back then the production quality not being great, but being fine for a punk album. And I was a little worried diving back into it that it was going to be kind of cheesy, maybe, and a little bit lazy. But honestly, you know, it was better than I remembered. Honestly, I think the music is mostly really good. It's not groundbreaking or anything. It's a solid punk rock album with raw energy and a little bit of doo-wop influence, like you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Like the production is one of the things that stood out to me. I'll be honest, especially on this first song when we get into it, I was a little like, there's some aspects of it that are not wonderful, but yeah, overall it's not bad. I definitely get what they were trying to do. I think some of the songs are actually pretty good.
Mhm.
I don't know. We'll do a final assessment after we get through it, but it certainly could have been worse for sure.
Oh yes, yes.
Well, let's jump into it.
All right. So the album starts off with a song called "Authority." It starts out with kind of these primal, kind of just like kind of toms drum, floor tom probably type drum with lots of echoes on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds kind of huge, and then these guitars come in, like these really nasty, kind of dirty, but really energetic guitars come in. And honestly, it's a pretty standard punk rock riff, 1-5-4-5. It's just pretty, like that's just maybe the second most standard punk rock riff out there. But it's still, even though it's still just really, really punk rock, it immediately kind of has like a flavor to it. Even if I didn't tell you this was supposed to be punkabilly or something like that, you would know in your head like this isn't skater punk. This isn't MXPX. This sounds a little bit different, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And the guitars, they feel really like grunty, I think. And there's this nice kind of palm muting thing on the intro. Let me play it here.
I came into this world bad, like no one was by my side. I was looking for more than what was placed up before my eyes. I tried it all and I gave what should have been for my future love.
So I think there's two things that kind of stand out to me there. Even though this is like a really standard 1-5-4-5 chord progression, one thing that they do that's interesting that might give it a little bit of an interesting feel is that usually in punk, your kind of like root chord is going to be your bassiest chord. But in this one, it's actually the 5 that's the bassiest chord. So they're actually going from A to E to D to E. And that E is the lowest bassiest chord there, which kind of gives it an interesting feel. And then Johnny's this is Johnny singing on this one. There's two vocalists, as we mentioned before, Johnny and Phil. This is Johnny singing on this one. And he has kind of just like throaty, kind of, gruff kind of vocals, kind of a standard punk affectation to him, but also throws in these like yeah kind of things that kind of give it that doo-wop-y kind of sound of early rock and roll kind of thing. Yeah.
I'm gonna be a little harsh on this one.
All right.
This is definitely not one of my favorite songs on here. I'll be honest. Okay, I'm going to talk about Johnny for a second. I'm going to be honest. I don't love these vocals because there's later songs on the album where he sings and he sounds a lot better.
Yeah,
I even went back and compared two of them back to back and was like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
it's like he's trying to like, and it just, to me, it doesn't work as well as his vocals do in other songs that are a little cleaner sounding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does have. We'll come to a song here later where he does have a lot cleaner sound. Phil, the other vocalist, almost always presents kind of a cleaner, kind of a more innocent sounding vocal. Honestly,
maybe a little higher pitch.
Yeah, a little higher pitch. Yeah. I like these. You know, I think they work. I think they add to the energy and the gruffness of it all. You know, kind of give it a nice little a feeling of being. You know, it's not just your standard punk, right? It gives it kind of that flavor of. The thing is, though, that gruffness isn't doo-wop. It's not even early rock and roll. It is very specifically kind of the affectation of rockabilly, right? That and maybe it comes from Elvis. I don't know, but it's just this kind of like if you're a tenor and you're kind of trying to be a baritone, but you're just kind of growling it out instead, you know.
The one other thing that I really noticed on this song, actually, well, when I tell you this, you're gonna never be able to not hear it. The snare sound throughout this entire album, to me, like, something's off. It's just not like, I don't know. I don't love it. And then also, and this is the thing you will not be able to unhear, is the drummer, he really likes that snare. So instead of just like, it's like, like he'll have a lot of double taps and stuff. And it's not terrible. But you'll hear it in like almost every song once you start listening for it. But
I think it's part of what brings the energy to this, and I don't know. Yeah.
It's not terrible, and it's maybe a style preference. I don't love it. But those are kind of my big takeaways.
I mean, we've heard Pocket Change where the snare was just ta 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 ta. You know, like that's nothing's as bad as that.
Oh no! Please don't get me wrong. We're not in the same realm as that. God, we rag on that album so much. But no, it's just those are the things. I guess because it's the first song that kind of stood out, and then I was like, man, I hear this the whole way through the album. But yes, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it's fine. So at about a minute in, there's kind of this extended drum roll, which we'll listen to here in a second, and it goes from being that more like punkabilly. Like, I'm just going to stick with that, even though we
go for it. It's okay.
You know, okay, yeah. And it gets just more punk at that point. I'm going to play it here, and then I'm going to explain why it feels different.
Too much authority grounds my sense of reality. Round and round like cows and never seem until when I fix my broken heart left for me until then.
I like the drums. Okay. So before, the bass is going to be one of the highlights of this album, because when we're in the quote-unquote punkabilly mode, the bass is doing more walking around.
Right.
Whereas there, when it got just more kind of straight up punk rock, the bass is just playing the root notes. It's just that root note, you know.
Right.
So that's one of the things I think that kind of gives it that punkabilly sound, as opposed to just straight up punk, is that walking bass line a little bit. Anyways, there's then a like an instrumental into a bridge kind of with some nice squealing guitars here. I think it's probably one of the best parts of the song. I like it. It's fun. It's energetic. It says a lot of things, kind of has we'll get into lyrics here in a second, kind of has a punk rock attitude to it. Yeah.
All right. I like the ending, the drums to the end part.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't know. I like some of their songs more. It's okay though.
Oh no, I agree. I think that this is not one of the best songs, but it's honestly, I think it is a good starter because it brings that energy and has a nice feel to it. I think. Yeah. All right. Want to dive into the lyrics here?
Let's do it.
I don't have a lot to say about the lyrics, but I need to say them out loud to say it.
You want me to read them?
Sure.
I'm reading directly from the booklet, by the way. I just screenshotted these and stuck them in my notes, so bear with me.
I typed them up. Why didn't you copy mine?
I noticed. Well, I don't want to look at your notes and spoil things. So anyway, I came into this world, felt like no one was by my side. I was looking for more than what was placed right before my eyes. I tried it all, and I gave what should have been for my future love, but I can't understand why I'm not happy or why I feel alone. Don't want to feel it in my life. I don't want to know, and I don't want to open up my eyes. I got all these people around me trying to tell me what to do. My attitude takes me over. Don't need God, and I don't need you. My mind is going to explode if I feel like this till I die. Too much authority drowns my sense of reality. And then he says, round and round life goes, never seeming to end. Fix my broken heart, left me here to mend. Running through my life mistakes I've made in the past. You tried to tell me, but what you said doesn't seem to last. Well, I thought I heard it all. I was wrong, and I admit that now. 'Cause you showed me I was wrong. I got all I could ever want. I know why you're in my life. I should have listened. You were right.
There's a lot of typos, first off.
Oops.
So, like that line, it's supposed to be now I know, but it says no I know. Almost every time the word now appears in the lyrics, it almost always says no.
Okay.
There's a lot of your mistakes, things like that.
There was a here as in, it's supposed to be H-E-R-E,
H-E-A-R,
but it was H-E-A-R, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of typos like that, yeah. All right, so, the song is kind of about, feeling isolated or whatnot, and it kind of has this okay, I was looking for more than what was placed right before my eyes. Okay, looking for something, sure. I tried it all, and I gave what should have been for my future love. These things, by the way, don't read. These lyrics don't read great. I think this is probably the worst offender this song is.
Yeah, I agree.
That said, I think their vocal delivery rhythm is really excellent throughout the album.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of the lyrics, they don't read exactly like they're said in the song.
Right.
So it's, when I was reading them, I was like, and then it's, oh, okay.
Yeah. There's definitely some things slurred together in the song that are spelled out in the lyrics.
Right.
But I think that one of the thing that really jumped out at me is that I don't, this is aimed at God, but really it just feels like it's about this. It seems like it's more about a mature person telling a less mature person that what they're doing is going to hurt them. And then it turns out that more mature person was correct. Which isn't so much about God, it's just about someone having more experience, right? I think that, especially as being young, I think that happened a lot where we were told, hey, God wants you to protect yourself, so don't do this thing. But really it was just, hey, you're young and stupid, don't do this thing. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Question I have for you with that is the song is called Authority.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the lines, and they even have it bolded in the lyrics, it says, too much authority in bold drowns my sense of reality. But then later in the song, it seems to kind of be like,
you should give in to authority.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were picking that up as well.
Yeah, it's hard to I think that too much authority does drown your sense of reality. When you aren't learning for yourself, when you're just basically, saying, just following the rules. Yeah, your reality becomes stifled and diluted. Is that a good word for it? You're not living a full reality. You're just following someone else's rules.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so, yes, to some extent, younger people should probably listen to older people and not hurt themselves in the same way that we know that you're going to get hurt if you're not as mature. But at the same time, you also have to do those things and learn for yourself to some extent. You know?
Yeah, and that authority thing can be taken way too far.
Yes.
In the church. Like,
oh, yeah. And it is very often. Yeah.
Yes. Like, I'm your authority. Everything I say is right. Please listen to me. Blah, blah, blah. Like, it just, yeah, it can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the other lines that really sticks out to me is "don't want to know" in the chorus there, which is something that appears over and over again in this album. Actually, is there's a kind of a continuing theme of the narrator not wanting to know what's actually going on. I don't have anything to say about it. It's just weird. I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, you're right. That comes up in some other songs.
Yeah. Don't want to know, and I don't want to open up my eyes.
This song felt like trying to show a change, right? Like early on, I didn't want to know. I wanted to kind of be ignorant. And then at the end of the song, like, I was wrong and I admit that now, they say, you know.
Yeah.
So kind of that thing. But you're right. In some of the other songs, it's just there.
It's just there, yeah. Something else that should be mentioned about the lyrics is that the second to last line is listed in the lyrics as, "Now I know why you're in my life," but he clearly says, "You didn't mean to hurt my pride."
They said you were right, yeah, I was wrong. I got all I could ever want, yeah. Didn't mean to hurt my pride, yeah.
Hear it?
Yeah, that's super clear.
Yeah, you didn't mean to hurt my pride. Anyways, yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
All right, that's all I have to say about that one.
All right. Well, we're gonna skip a couple of songs. Although the second song I kind of like the way it starts.
Build me up and I'll tear it down again. Well, there's something in my heart and it's something that you breathe again. When I wanna take my life and I wanna take what I'm so wrong, and I don't wanna take a world and I wonder where you're never.
Me too. I like. There's honestly not a song on this album that I just don't. Well, maybe Richie, but even that's fine. You know, it's fun.
Yeah, but we're gonna jump to "Ballad of the Invisible Man," song number 4.
All right. So this is the one that we mentioned earlier. It was on the original 2 Jake EP. This is also the one that was on the 5-minute walks. Take Time to Listen, Volume 3. Okay, if you're following along in your liner notes while you're listening to this album, 2 things are going to jump out at you. Number 1, Jake, can you see my screen right now?
Yep.
It says, you know, all of the lyrics and all of the songs in the track list are kind of just like look like they were torn out of a page, you know. But over track 4, where something's clearly listed there, "Ballad of the Invisible Man" is just pasted over it.
Yeah, with like the inverse, like so like
Right.
white letters and black background versus everything else is black letter, white background.
Right. And then if you go down here to the lyrics, it's typed up differently than everything else. Okay? So
Clifton, I had not thought about this. Okay, where are we going?
So I went and I dug out my Take Time to Listen Volume 3. But then I actually found that it's online and you can just look at it here. So I'm going to show it to you here. All right. This is the liner notes for Take Time to Listen Volume 3. You see right there the lyrics for this? It's just literally...
Oh my God, that's so lazy. And they just cut out, like, instead of Adventures of Johnny Respect,
they cut off the Adventures of...
and it just is Johnny. Wow. Okay. Yeah. What in the world?
Yeah. So this is it's just taken from the liner notes for Take Time to Listen Volume 3. Now, you could say that's just lazy, or maybe this song wasn't originally meant to be on this album, and they replaced a song that was supposed to be there.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, when you listen to it on Take Time to Listen Volume 3, is it the exact same recording?
I think so, yes. From what I can tell, yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I didn't rip. Well, actually, I did. I did a while ago. Here, give me 1 second. Let me pull up Take Time to Listen Volume 3.
Because I thought it might have been on Take Time to Listen Volume 3, like from that 7-inch, the version.
Right.
But maybe it's not.
It's not, though. It's not the 7-inch version.
Okay.
It's a much cleaner version on Take Time to Listen Volume 3.
Interesting. So it's like a last minute kind of switch or something. Or just a dish. Well, no, they would have had to switch something out. Yeah.
Right. Maybe there was a song that they didn't like on here and they replaced it. I mean, maybe it was always supposed to be there and they just thought this was funny. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But it seems to me like... Okay. 2 minutes and 36 seconds, 2 minutes and 32 seconds. So they're different lengths, but let's listen to them here individually. This is the first I'm going to play is the 5-minute walk version.
Well, she seems to notice everything, but you know she never noticed me. And it's...
Okay.
Well, she seems to notice everything, but you know she never noticed me.
Sound different.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
Huh.
But it's also not the 7-inch version because that one's a lot rougher production.
Oh yeah. I trust you. So that's interesting. Yeah. So it's like this is the third time they've recorded it.
Mm-hmm. But can you imagine this album without this song? I think it would have been a huge mistake to not have the song on this album.
Yeah, yeah. This like not spoiler alert, but this song like honestly, I think the lyrics are terrible. But it's an earworm, and it definitely was caught. Like I definitely was humming it to myself this week.
Yes. Exactly.
So, yeah.
And it actually is it's an earworm, but it also is fun.
Yeah. It's just when you start focusing on the lyrics, you're like, oh my God, this is really
the lyrics are pretty bad.
Yeah.
We'll get to them. Okay. So this is the first song on the album that kind of, I think, really has kind of that rockabilly sound to it.
For sure.
Yeah. It starts off with some chords being strummed on. We just heard a little bit there, kind of on the lower notes of what sounds like an acoustic guitar with some kind of classic early sixths being hammered on. Let me play just the... Do I have it prepared here? Yes. Okay. Let me play just the music here so you can hear what's going on with that acoustic guitar. Okay, that thing, that's basically hammering on a sixth. So in power chords especially, you're playing 1-5-1. And so what you do is you use your pinky to hammer on a sixth, the two notes up from the 5, just like da 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 like that. So it's just a little panache being put on that chord basically, but that's what gives you that sound. Then and Phil is the who's gonna take the lead on the vocals for this song. He has a much cleaner voice, as we already mentioned, much more innocent sounding voice, I think. And he's singing over that. Let's listen to the actual beginning with him singing.
Well, she seems to notice everything, but you know she never noticed me, and it's ripping me apart inside, and I know I'm gonna cry, but I'm never gonna feel alone again. Well, she tells me what I wanna hear, and she with the stuff in my ear, I won't talk about it anymore. I don't wanna be a bore, but I'm never gonna feel alone again.
All right, so this is, the most tempting thing to do as a young songwriter with, doing this rockabilly stuff or punkabilly stuff is to kind of play a rockabilly thing and then to come in with some punk, right? Same thing but punk. And if you listen to the guitar, it actually is playing the exact same thing during the punk part. You just can't hear it as well because it's being distorted. Anyways, so they also kind of convert that first part into a chorus, and they do that a few times. And then a little less than a minute in, we get what lyrically is going to kind of be the big turn in the song. But I'm gonna play it for you here so you can hear the big word.
Jesus is my only friend, and I know he'll be there till the end, 'cause he's never walked on me before, and I know one thing's for sure, that I'm never gonna feel alone.
All right, so they basically repeat the song, but with Jesus in it this time instead of a girl, which we'll get to later in a second. But it's a fun song. It's a fun song. And we do get a kind of, let me play the last kind of fun part here of the song, where it's towards the end, we get kind of a bridge guitar solo kind of thing.
What does that remind you of, that guitar immediately?
Oh, from Back to the Future.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's almost exactly the thing that Marty plays in Back to the Future at the dance. Yeah. Well, might be your kids are gonna love it. What is the full line there?
Yeah.
All right, I don't know. So this song goes from like rockabilly to punkabilly to straight up punk, and has some Jesus in there. Like what more? What more could we have asked for as kids?
Yeah, at the time, like 16, 17, yeah. Whatever, like, yeah, it was great. I'm listening to it now, especially the lyrics, like, but yes. I think the song also has a little bit of like, maybe like Beach Boys or Jan and Dean, kind of that with those background vocals, those higher pitched, a little bit of that vibe in it too. So maybe like early 60s type stuff.
Yeah. But that comes from doo-wop too.
Yeah.
Know, so.
This one is the earworm. This is a catchy song. It's just, when you slow down, you actually look at the lyrics, or even you can hear them in the song. You're like,
yeah.
Oh, and this is so much like, sorry, I'm jumping to the lyrics a little bit, but this is
let's do the lyrics.
This is like, oh God, how do I say it? This kind of is like, alternative Christian music in a nutshell is a lot of this stuff, right? These type of lyrics of like, blah, 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 life, Jesus, 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 Jesus. Like, it's just like,
yeah.
I don't know. It's taken a song that would normally be about like a girl or something if it, wasn't in the Christian scene. And now it's like, but Jesus, Jesus, Jesus shoved in there. And it's just like, it's not that they're fake, because I would have said the same shit, but like,
yes,
it's just, you're listening to it now, I'm like, God, this is weird.
and it almost sounds like a parody, because
yes,
we make fun of Christian songs for not being able to tell if they're love songs or worship songs, and this does the thing where it's both, right?
It's like that South Park where Cartman takes the like pop songs, right, and just sticks Jesus in there and becomes a really famous Christian singer.
Yeah.
This is that. You're right. And so I know at the time it was earnest and genuine, but now you're just like, oh my God.
Yeah. So the lyrics, which aren't even important, the actual lyrics, but
I mean, you could
just to give you
guess.
a little taste. Give you a little taste. It says, well, she seems to notice everything, but she never noticed me, and it's ripping me apart inside, and I know I'm going to cry, but I'm never going to feel alone again. And then, well, she tells me what I want to hear, and she whispers something in my ear. I won't talk about it anymore. I don't want to be a bore, but I'm never going to feel alone again. And then, of course, that gets replaced with Jesus. Now Jesus is my only friend, and I know he'll be there till the end, because he's never let me down before, and I know one thing's for sure, I'm never going to be alone again. So it's literally just taking the love song thing and putting Jesus, like just shoving Jesus right into it. Now,
no, go ahead.
You go ahead.
No, because if you're sticking with the Jesus thing, I have something else I want to talk about, and it's not Jesus.
Well, okay. The other thing I want to talk about with Jesus is, why is Jesus your only friend?
Yeah. Well, okay, that actually is getting to where I'm going with this, but yeah. I mean, so this seems to be like, forget the Jesus part for a second, but this seems to be like a little bit of a theme in this style of Christian music too, of like, she seems to notice everything. She doesn't seem to notice me. Like, woe is me. Girls never notice me. I'm all alone. I don't know if you remember that Value Pack song. What's it called? I think it was called maybe Loner. The same type of thing of like, I'm just all alone. Girls don't notice me. I'm so weak. And maybe that part of that is certainly probably just a normal teenage feeling. Part of me though does wonder if like fucking purity culture and that stuff doesn't like kind of end up having, people feel that way because you're so afraid to like initiate anything and everything is bad and any kind of these feelings are bad. And so like, oh, no one ever wants to date me because I'm like this. Anyway, you know what I'm saying?
You're not wrong there, right? I mean, all the shit we're told with purity culture is very alienating, because three things come to mind for me. Number one, you're told not to trust these feelings, right? These feelings are bad.
Yeah.
Okay. So you have these feelings, you're like, well, what should I do with them? But then they also tell you that they're fine, but if they're from God, but you don't know if they're from God, right? Which actually we're going to get to here in a minute in another song. And so you're like, okay, well, maybe they're fine, but only if they're from God. So maybe I should just let God make it happen. But then you ended up just being isolated because you don't do anything about your feelings, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember it was either at the end of college or right after college because I was still living in our college town. This is so kind of pathetic and ridiculous now, but I remember reading a book and I do not remember the name of it, but it was actually a Christian book because that's probably the only reason I read it. That was basically like, stop waiting on God to drop like whoever in your lap. And yes, it's okay to date. It was basically like a Christian like case for dating, which blew my mind. Yeah, because I grew up with I Kiss Dating Goodbye, and while I maybe didn't buy into that 100%, that was just so permeating in the culture.
Yeah, you couldn't not feel it.
Yeah, and so I think that's what happens with songs like this is like, you're just like expecting like Miss Perfect to just like show up in your life versus like, oh, I might actually have to like ask someone out, which I don't do because I'm a Christian and somehow that is a bad thing. I know if you didn't grow up in this and you're listening to this, you would be like, I don't understand. This makes no sense. And I'm sorry. But for those of us that like grew up in this, like, it was just a thing. You're like, oh, the girls don't like me, blah, blah, blah. Like, what do you expect them to do? Just like walk up and like, hey, you want to go out? Like, I mean, it just
because they're being told the same thing, but the other side of it is, oh, but you can't take the lead.
Exactly. Like, you have to be submissive. Like, oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I just noticed that. And I think we'll see it, whenever we do that Value Pack album and other places too. And it just, wow.
That's the first Value Pack album with Loner on it?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Yeah. Not my favorite Value Pack album, but okay. We got to do Value Pack soon.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to another song here.
Well, I think we're doing next I'm Not Here, although I was very confused because it's listed as I'm Not There on Spotify, and I listened to it multiple times, and I was like, I swear to God, he's saying here.
It's I'm Not There on my CD rep as well.
Yeah, it's definitely...
But then on Discogs here, it's I'm Not Here.
It's definitely I'm Not Here, but somehow it got uploaded to whatever thing,
tells you what songs are.
Yeah.
The central database of songs.
Yeah, as I'm Not There. And it's definitely I'm Not There because you can clearly hear it.
Yeah, I mean, on the CD, it's I'm Not Here. On the lyrics, it's I'm Not Here. Yeah.
So, yes. I actually think this might be my favorite song on this album.
It's a really good song, right? I didn't know if I wanted to cover this one or the next song, number 7, Broken Home, because they're both really good songs. I think that really struggle with internal things in different ways. I didn't come from a broken home, and so that one didn't speak to me as much as a kid. And I felt like an asshole not covering it because of that. But anyways, we'll just move on here. Like, okay. All right, cover number 6, I'm Not Here.
Okay, go for it.
All right, so it starts with these kind of upbeat drums, and then that's kind of like fun. We don't get many, like, a lot of the riffs in the song are just like punk rock riffs where they're just power chords, but this is actually like an individual note kind of lead type riff type thing. It's kind of fun, kind of bouncy. And honestly, it's just the drums and the guitar at first, and they're honestly both probably just going as fast as they can play this thing. And the verses on this song are fast, and the vocals have a nice rhythm to them that makes it feel like the words honestly are just kind of like spilling out faster than they can be controlled. Almost like an unexpected confessional, let's say that.
Okay.
The guitars are scratchy, and the rhythm to them is kind of clever, especially for just being some kids banging out some power chords here as fast as they can play them. So let's listen to a little bit of that here. So I think it's fun. After that, we get a kind of a chorus that kind of feels almost sorrowful with some kind of vocal harmonies going on. And then by like a minute and a quarter into it, we've blown through 2 verses, 2 choruses, and we kind of get that opening riff again, and then choruses a couple more times. I don't know, it's a good song. I love it, but there's not a lot to say about it. Here's my question to you, Jay. Does this feel rockabilly?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think this one does. Maybe, I don't know. I don't have anything against rockabilly, but I don't know. I seem to like this one more. I think it's got a pretty catchy chorus, like I'm not here.
Let's listen to it.
I like the background vocals too. I think this album is really nice when they've got a lot of those throughout.
Yeah.
And so that was a nice addition there. It's just a nice, short, catchy song. You're right. It's not super rockabilly, but it's fun.
But I think it still feels like the rest of the album, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think it feels out of place in the album as straight up punk. And we'll get to it later on where one of the reviews says, you know, they're really disappointed because it's more just a punk album than it is a punkabilly album, you know? We'll talk about that later. But I think that it's a good, fun song. You know, it's not mind-blowing. It's just fast and awkward, and it's about being weird, you know? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about the lyrics?
So this is one where I kind of like the lyrics, honestly. You want to read them?
Sure. He says, if you could look inside my mind, be surprised by what you find, because I'm not like you. I'm not cool. I can't help thinking I'm a fool. I'm not pathetic. I'm not sick. I'm not like anyone. I know weirdness is forcing me to go. And I want to run away like I'm not here. And I got nothing to say like I'm not here. And you're looking at my face like I'm not here. Chasing down my only friend, I find he's not the one who ran. I wonder how long I've been dumb. I figure I'm not the only one. A nuclear bomb inside my mind. I know I won't be left behind. I'm not like anyone I know. Weirdness is forcing me to go.
So this does kind of the same trick as last time, you know, where the first part's about just being weird, and the second part's about being weird with Jesus, I think, or but also about running away from Jesus a little bit. I don't know exactly. Sorry, I'm moving around a lot. My chair's making noise. I got these new wheels for my chair that are too tall, and now my feet don't quite touch the ground. That's really annoying.
Oh, and you can't like lower your like seat or anything?
It's all the way down already. So
how big of wheels did you get, man?
3-inch wheels. They're like giant rollerblade wheels.
Okay.
I thought they looked cool, but I didn't think about the fact that they would raise the chair that much.
If you don't know, just side note, like Clifton is very tall, so I have a hard time imagining his feet not touching the ground.
Yeah, it's a tall chair though.
I mean,
it's a purposely tall chair.
Still, this is like, okay,
Yes.
This is interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, I do love the chorus here though. I want to run away like I'm not here. I got nothing to say like I'm not here. This is very teenage angsty.
Yes.
Right? We can feel this, right?
Yeah.
But the next line, and you're looking at my face like I'm not here. Holy shit, that's a rough line, Jay.
Yeah.
like you're looking through me. You know, I think that tracks. You know, for kind of teenage angsty, like you feel weird and you feel like you don't belong anywhere. You know, but it's weird because it's such a short little thrown off line, but it has a big punch to it.
Yeah.
But then the second verse, chasing down my only friend, I find he's not the one who ran. That's probably Jesus. You know, probably Jesus.
Probably.
I wonder how long I've been dumb. I figure I'm not the only one. Okay, whatever. Now, I do like the next part. A nuclear bomb inside my mind. I know I won't be left behind. I'm not like anyone I know. Weirdness is forcing me to go.
Yeah, I felt like this song is mostly just like teenage awkwardness, kind of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which I'm all for.
Yeah.
Fun song.
Fair.
All right. Anything else to say about it?
Nope.
Cool. All right. I honestly don't have anything written for FX. I can play a little bit of it. We can talk about it, though.
Sure.
I was wrong. Some plans are set up. You were better than walls, and I know it makes you feel tough. Believe it or not, I was trying to help. I was doing my best, but I know I did it too well. Well, we fought and I raised more beside you. We argued so we can't hear the words. The life that I say, Mama, I'm alone, no one on my side. But I know why in my life.
That's another thing that comes out in this album several times is either not knowing why someone is in your life, or knowing why someone's in your life, or not wanting to know why someone's in your life.
Well, I'm gonna. You're saying that right now, and I'm gonna tell you. And you know, I'm not the best at listening to lyrics, and if they're not super clear, I'm not usually somebody that like. Aside from this podcast, like if normally if I'm listening to music, if they're not super clear, I'm not someone that usually like dives into the lyric sheet to figure it out. I'm just usually like, you know, whatever, humming along. I don't care. It sounds fun. So this one, I have been wrong for a long time on what I thought they were saying in the chorus.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the like chorus line, they go, "But I know," you know that part. I thought it said, "Why ruin my life?" But he says, "I know why you're in my life." But I swear to God, if you think he's saying "why," like a question, "Why ruin my life?" That's what I've thought for forever. Now, granted, I wasn't really listening to any of the other lyrics, so I don't know what. I was just like, "Oh, he doesn't want to make a mistake or something."
It kind of works with the song because the song's mostly about like having a fight with somebody. Kind of
right.
Yeah.
But what they're really saying is, "But I know why you're in my life." But when you kind of run it together, "Why ruin my life?" That's what I heard.
Nice. Here's a thought I have right now, Jay.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about this song specifically, but there's good backing vocals in this song.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons I have failed to get into much secular punk in my life is because they don't have the harmonic like backing vocals that Christian punk does.
So you need more backing vocals in your punk.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
And like there's not many, at least not the big ones that I've listened to, you know, like have really that kind of, you know, harmonies and backing vocals and stuff like that.
Side note, Clifton and I are going to this festival in just, well, actually when you hear this, it'll be like, we'll be there. Probably. That is like all punk bands, basically, like 500 of them or something crazy. And so I'm, and I've been really like every spare minute I have trying to listen through all these bands to like, I just don't want to feel like I'm missing something, you know? So I'll have to like make note of any that have good background vocals, Clifton.
Okay.
For you,
okay.
So
thanks.
Yeah.
But really, like NoFX doesn't have good backing vocals. You know, Bad Religion doesn't have good backing vocals. Like even like Green Day doesn't have good backing vocals. Blink-182, they have more, but not great. Like, who has, like, think about it. MXPX has okay backing vocals, but Value Pack, great backing vocals. Johnny Respect, great backing vocals. Did I say Value Pack?
Yes.
Cody Hook, great backing vocals. We've done several on here already that have great backing vocals, and I just can't think of them right now.
Huh. Okay.
You know, and it's not something you see. Why? Is it a cultural thing? Is it because we grew up in choirs?
I don't know. I'm going to be listening more. I haven't really thought about it either way. So
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to say about FX?
Yeah, it's basically just about, like, you know, we're not, I don't know, some kind of issue between either friends or guy and a girlfriend. It's hard to tell, but yeah.
Which is what the next song we're going to talk about is about, and I think it's a better song for that topic, so I didn't.
Well, one thing that I know you want to talk about just for a second is the next song on the album is a cover song of the Stray Cats' Rock This Town. And I hope you can play a little bit of it, because I want people, I mean, it's a fun song anyway, but my point is I want you to hear the vocals because it's Johnny, the same guy who did the first song. And they sound quite a bit different, and I will argue much better on this, you know.
I agree. He still has a little bit of that gruffness to it,
but better.
But they are better.
Yeah.
By the way, it's a great cover. Like, I think it's a really well done, successful cover of this song.
It is. Yeah, I agree. It's a good cover.
All right, let's move on to track 12, "Walking Away."
Okay.
Once again, this is just a punk song, but once again, it still really, to me, feels like Johnny Respect and like it belongs in this album. It also, to me, feels like it's probably the most emotional song on the album, or maybe the most emotive song on the album, something like that. In fact, the lyrics for it are left out of the liner notes, with just a note that says, "This song was edited so as not to offend anyone. If you would like to know the lyrics, ask us at a show." So the lyrics are not in the lyric book, and we're going to see here in a second that they're actually, the vocals are censored a little bit.
Yeah, it's really weird, which just makes me wonder how your friend's mom knew that the word "suck" was being said.
Because you can still hear it.
Okay.
Like, it's still very clear what's being said, at least to me. Okay, but it has a nice, I think, a really nice palm muting kind of intro riff, and Phil sings on this one for 2 lines, and then Johnny sings for 2 lines. That kind of goes back and forth through the entire song. And once again, I think Johnny sounds better here. He doesn't have near as gruff of that voice as on the first one. Yeah, let's listen to the intro here, though.
I wanna hear you, but I don't wanna walk away. You wanna hear me, but you never wanna stay. I turned away from you, I started to walk away. The story changes, but the song remains the same. If you said me that we wouldn't feel this way,
It definitely just sounds like a straightforward punk song, and honestly, what you heard there, like, it doesn't change up much.
Does it actually have a chorus?
No, it's just 3 verses.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So it's 3 verses, and I'm going to skip to the 3rd verse here so we can listen to the part that's cut out.
you just got say it again, on and on. When all the changes and we both know that we're wrong, You talk, I nodded not till you.
Okay. You heard it there, but I'm going to play it once again with the vocals brought forward, basically, okay?
You just I say again, on and on. Yes, I say again, on and on.
I mean, he's clearly saying suck, right? Like, you say it's...
Yeah, and that makes... I mean, they wouldn't have said anything worse in the Christian market at the time, and
right.
that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. The other actually fun part about this song is that after the third verse, the band kind of breaks down into kind of this like hardcore riff.
Yeah, it's real weird for this album. Like, really strange.
First off, I think they do it well. It sounds pretty good. And secondly, I think it's interesting because, as you said, there's no chorus, right? So it's just the same thing over and over again. I think it adds a nice little break to the kind of just this never gonna stop beat of the song, you know? Yeah.
So here's my question for you. You know, they recorded it. They knew what the lyrics are. Like, how did they get this so far that finally it seems like last minute somebody was like, oh, you can't have that on the album? It's like, I don't know. Why didn't somebody catch it earlier and just change the lyrics so it's not weird?
Maybe they wrote it in the studio. I don't know.
It's strange to me that no one like censored it before it was like recorded. It seems like a very last minute, like, you know, try to basically edit out the word suck, which makes it stand out more, honestly.
Yes. Yeah. No, when like I remember even as a kid hearing that and immediately knowing that something had been edited out, and so you immediately go to the book and see okay what's going on, right?
Yeah, and the fact that they tell you it's been, you know what I mean, like yeah. Oh, this song has been censored or whatever. Like, well, then of course every like 16-year-old is like, well, what are they saying? You know?
Yeah. Now, when I did transcribe the lyrics here, and it was a little hard. I did have to go back and listen to. Use the tools to isolate the lyrics, the vocals. And so back in the day, I couldn't ever tell you exactly what the song said. But it's pretty clear, once again, that line is saying, you say I suck, I say you suck, and on and on. Okay, here's the lyrics. I want to hear you, but I don't want to walk away, which doesn't make any sense. You want to hear me, but you never want to stay. I turn away from you and decide to walk away. The story changes, but the song remains the same. Second verse, and now the first part of both of these lines is things that I'm less sure about. These first two lines here, I'm like 98% sure it says this: if you'd accept me, then we wouldn't feel this way. I won't accept you, and I want to run away. What's done is done, and I could change the things I said. Let's put aside that, girl, you don't know what I meant. You say I suck, I say you suck, and on. But nothing changes, and we both know that we're wrong. You talk and talk, I nod and nod until you shut up. My ears are bleeding, I just wish you'd give it up. Okay, it's about having a fight. Or an argument. My first thought is that we learn to fight from our parents, right? This person had a bad role model. Because it's some toxic fighting here. I think I think the line that bothers me more than anything else in this entire song is not "you say I suck, I say you suck." It's "you talk and talk, and I nod and nod until you shut up."
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the line in the entire song that makes me go, ugh, gross.
I mean, that's worse than you saw. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's so like, it's so funny with like Christian stuff like that, right? They'll censor out suck, but yet there's other parts that I think are arguably much worse, but it's totally fine because it doesn't have the word suck in it.
I mean, because that is it's not just it is toxic, But when you put it into the context of kind of the toxic masculinity that we grew up with, it just stands out so much. It's so dismissive of women having a voice.
Well, yeah, I was pretty surprised until I read your lyrics that this was, I didn't think that this was about a man. Like, I thought it was two friends fighting.
Me too.
I didn't think it was like man and woman, like some kind of romantic thing, which seems
so. That's what I always
case.
thought too. But it's very clear that he says, "Let's put aside that girl. You don't know what I meant." Let me find that.
If you said me that we wouldn't feel this way, I won't set you and I wanna run away. What's undone and I could change the things I said. Let's put aside the guilt, you don't know what I meant.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. I can't think of what else he would be saying there if it's not girl.
Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, it is a... you're right. This song probably should have been edited.
Also, like...
but not for...
I'll be honest, I don't love it. I don't love that breakdown. I mean, it's good, but it just doesn't fit that.
Yeah.
This would have been the song I would just cut the whole thing rather than like,
Really?
you know, I don't know. It's just, it's funny to me because it's just, you're trying to get rid of the word suck and that's all anyone is going to key in on the way they've done it, you know?
Yeah. Because they leave the first letter in there. And look, when I'm editing, and if I edit out, you know, fuck or something like that, and I leave in F, I'm doing that so I know you know
Right.
what's being bleeped out, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If I didn't want you to know, I would bleep out the whole thing, right?
Yeah. It's and I remember at the time for some reason that word was like the word that was really like
parents hated
it, but it was like still sort of okay. Like I was never gonna dare say like shit or fuck or anything, but like suck was like you could sort of get away with it.
But it's also a word that like it's not a standard curse word, right? You know?
Yeah.
And so we didn't have kind of a go-to replacement for it.
Right.
So I think that's one of the reasons we, like, as Christians, we ended up using it, quote unquote, you know, because we can say darn, you know, we can say screw you, you know, but there wasn't a 1-for-1 replacement for this sucks, you suck, you know? Yeah. Because it doesn't mean the same thing as like, I hate this. It doesn't mean the same thing as I hate you.
Yeah, true.
You know, it has a very specific feel to it that's not easily replaceable by another word, I think.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. All right, the next song is Anti-Sock, which I assume is short for antisocial.
Right.
So I think this is probably the big, hey, we're a punkabilly, you know, band on this song on this album, right? Both musically and lyrically, it's dedicated to that aesthetic exclusively, and it mostly does a good job of it. There's a little cringe here, you know, looking back on it these days. Probably should have been cringy back then too. But okay, it starts off with kind of this like beautiful but simple kind of just like bass-led, like little rockabilly riff that's like dun 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 dun. All right, let's play it. So these dirty guitars come in with these, you know, power chords, these punk rock power chords and whatnot. And then, Jay, what do we get?
Vocal? Oh, the doo-wops, yeah.
There was a time before green hair.
Yeah, so we get some actual like doo-wop type vocals there with some shoo-wop-wa-doo.
Yep.
Once again, the guitars are really cool on this one, but it's the bass. The bass guitar is what makes this song, well, other than the shoo-wop vocals,
Yeah.
are what make this song punkabilly, right? So this is Johnny once again, and listen to his rather clean sounding,
Much better.
shirt tucked in, nice guy vocals. Yeah.
There was a time before green hair and punk rock. Greasers were known as the outlaws of a happy society. So if I drank in a hot rod car or played pool at the local hall, that is why, oh why, oh why we play the music we play. Oh why, unmistakable attitude and hairstyle.
It's that's how the song goes for the most part. There is probably what I think is, I'm gonna skip ahead a minute to 2 minutes into the song, and the song is only two and a half minutes long. But I think right here around 2 minutes we probably get the most classic part of the song, which is a bridge, and then some more. It has this really like understated ooh kind of outro thing to it.
We're better off than we were then. You can be sure of only one thing. Yeah, you couldn't have a punk without rock. You can't pretend to be what you're not. So just believe. Yes, please believe. Right now.
If it wasn't for this album, this song, I don't know what this album would be. Because it's kind of, it's weird that I'm also here at the end, but it's kind of the glue for this album to me.
Yeah, I agree. It definitely gives it that, like, I'll say it, rockabilly vibe, even though this is very doo-woppy, but it definitely gives it that thing that I think they're kind of looking for.
Yeah. Shoo-wop-a-billy?
Yeah, something like that. Shoo-wop-a-billy? I don't know.
Anyways. Yeah, if it wasn't for this song, I don't know that I would have loved this album as much, even though I think it's still a good album, but this song is kind of the big standout here.
Yeah.
So lyrically, the song is about how great the 50s were and the 60s, and how everything was good back then, and it couldn't get any better probably.
If you were white.
If you were white.
That's not in the song, but...
No. But that is definitely, it's a very Happy Days version of the late 50s and early 60s.
Right, definitely, right?
Yeah. I sent you something that you asked me, why am I looking at this?
Yes, didn't make the connection.
There's a line that says, Groom and Clean was their best friend, and now it's mine too. Groom and Clean is like a hair product that it was one of the early hair products that you could use to slick back your hair. And it had no grease in it. That was very important. No grease.
Okay.
Greaseless hair product. I actually looked it up. It was the trademark for Groom and Clean was filed in 1961.
There we
September
go.
26th, 1961. Yeah. For hair grooming preparation for use by men.
Okay.
There's some fun lyrics in here though. Helmet laws weren't in effect and sideburns all the way down to your neck. And then what we heard there, which I really like, you can be sure of one thing, you couldn't have a punk without rock.
Yeah.
That's pretty true. Pretty true, guys. I don't agree with you can't pretend to be what you're not. You can pretend to be what you're not.
Yeah, come on, this is the evangelical church we're talking about. Come on.
So because the next line is just believe. So, like, if you're just asking someone to just believe, like, what do you think he's asking them just to believe? Like, how great the 50s were?
It seems more like that in this song. I do not call these lyrics deep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. A fun song, I think, that has an important place in this album. And honestly, I think has an important place in my childhood, my teenage, my youth. How about that?
Aw. Yeah. No, I think it's a good song. I honestly would probably move it up in the song order, actually.
Yeah.
If I were kind of the producer or something, I would have made it earlier in the album because I think it does set a tone for it and
I agree.
probably should be earlier.
Yeah. I was still going to talk about the last song, but I don't really want to... Here, let me play it for you.
Acoustic guitar.
Gets punk, okay? Fine, whatever. The lyrics there were, I know this beautiful girl and with her I fell in love. She's never gone away and I've never given her up. One day I'll marry her if that should be your wish. For now I'll cherish her as though she's my true love. But then when we get to the chorus...
I wanna feel, can you tell me what I wanna feel? Can you tell me what I wanna
feel? The lyrics are, and I wanna feel, and I wanna feel, and I wanna feel. Can you tell me what I wanna feel? And this song for me just kind of perfectly typifies that weird, far too self-conscious and self-loathing mindset of Christians that they want to ask God for something, but they're so scared that they won't get what they want from God because, God's not real and life's random, that they have to bury their wants in, if that's your will. They have to give God an out, right?
Right. Good way to put it.
Yeah. And it's just... the out is there because God's not real and life is random, but the preacher gets up on Sunday morning and tells you that the out is there because you probably have unclean desires and you're a bad person and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. I took the song like slightly differently.
Oh?
No, mostly the same, but when he says like, you heard that first line you read about like basically there's this girl that I have a crush on, hoping one day I'll marry her if it's your wish.
Right.
And then the next line he says, it's building patience, God, and I know I have the strength. But when I think of her, my heart begins to break. For now, I'll have to wait. But I know that in the end, for my love for her is strong and will not ever end. So I kind of felt like when he's saying, and I want to feel, can you tell me what I want to feel? I was like, is this like keep it in your pants for Jesus type of song? Like, I'm having these feelings. I don't know if they're okay, God. I don't know. I really like it. I want to feel it, but maybe not. I don't know.
That's funny. That's not where I thought you were going half a second ago. I thought you were going with the incel thing once again of kind of having an unrequited crush,
Well, I think that's in here too, right?
Okay.
Yeah. But I don't know, when it was that it's building patience, God, and I know I have the strength. I was like, I wonder if that's what he's talking about.
Interesting. Man, there's so many ways to interpret this.
Uh-huh.
All right, we'll leave it up to you guys. You tell us what you think this song is about.
No matter how you take it, it's kind of like the dysfunctional, like, Christian relationship message that is not helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. Once toxic again.
Yes.
That's what we should rename our podcast to. Toxic again. There is a hidden track on this album. Did you listen to it, Jay?
Yeah, which to be fair, I was like, I don't know if I ever heard this back in the day, which is weird because it's not like that hidden. It's just like a minute or two after the song ends on this track.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah, it's not long after the song ends.
I do not remember hearing it. So, yeah.
I remember it. We loved it. I'm going to play it.
Renegade, God, oh, about Jesus. Smiles to the soul, your senses set me away. Bugger, because a bunch of better boys, get a bunch of better boys, the other thing. You smile. Renegade, God, oh, about Jesus.
And it just keeps getting faster and faster until it's silly at the end.
What are they actually saying?
Grin again, gang, get gung-ho about Jesus. Smile sweetly, Susan, so you send Satan sadly away. Buck up, Brother Bill, because a bunch of bitter boys became a bunch of better boys behind a big, huge smile. Grin again, gang, get gung-ho about Jesus.
How did you make out all those lyrics?
You can just hear them.
Wow. Okay. I'm impressed. All right.
Yeah. That wasn't hard.
Good job.
Okay, thanks. I think this is kind of a standard thing, though. I think this is something that like is a silly song that people sing in church. But I forgot to look it up. Yeah, Uncle Charlie worship songs.
Grin again, gang, get gung-ho about Jesus.
What the fuck?
Smile sweetly, Susan, so you send Satan sadly away. Buck up, Brother Bill, because a bunch of better boys became a bunch of better boys behind a big, big smile. Grin again, gang, get gung-ho about Jesus.
Okay, I've never heard this. And this exactly sounds like some shit I would have heard, but like...
I know, right?
I'm curious, anyone that's listening, let us know if like you knew this in your church, because I grew up Clifton and I both grew up Southern Baptist, and we don't remember hearing
No,
this.
I'd never heard it before this. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
It's a fun song, though. I like it.
Yeah, no, and now that I know that it's like, I don't know, some church song I guess they knew as kids, like, it makes a little more sense.
Yeah. Well, Jay, that's the album. Did we come to a conclusion here?
I mean, yeah, overall, like, is it one I'm going to probably return to much? Probably not. But actually, I think musically they're doing some good stuff. I think lyrically it could use some work.
Yes.
If I had to say one aspect. And I don't love the production. I would have, going back to the 5 Iron Frenzy 5-minute walk thing, it would have been really interesting to hear what, like, maybe recorded with a different producer, what this sounded like. That was the one of the downsides of like Bulletproof, Grey Dot, is they just didn't have as much money, it seemed like, when they were recording their artists. As say like Tooth and Nail was putting into stuff. Like if this had been recorded by Steve Kravac or something that was, you know, recording like some of his albums we've done. I think he did like Dingies and Slick Shoes and some of the MXPX. Like, I feel like this would have sounded really nice. You know, and so I would have loved to have heard these guys with like really nice fancy production behind it, but it's still fun.
I wonder if a more hands-on producer would have encouraged more punkabilly, like would have encouraged them to dig in and really make some of the more punk songs feel more punkabilly, or if they would have encouraged them away from it completely.
Yeah, good question. I don't know.
But then again, they might not have signed with it. They might have not even accepted a. I don't know. It may be, you know, it's an interesting question of why they didn't sign with 5 Minute Walk. You know, maybe 5 Minute Walk didn't think they could market it. Maybe 5 Minute Walk. You know, one of the things that 5 Minute Walk has said over and over again when we've read about them is that they like do interviews with their artists to make sure that they're like committed to Jesus in the same kind of way as.
Yeah, maybe this wasn't like Christian enough.
Right, yeah.
In some ways.
They say suck.
Yeah, well, the 5 Iron's talking about like genocide, but you know. Yeah. Which actually gets to the whole point, right? Is people get more offended by those words than the actual content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. What'd you think overall?
I still really like it, you know. I think it's a good album. Bordering maybe on great, especially for where it came from, when it came from. I think it's fun. I'm glad it's in my life. I'm glad I got to relive it. I don't know if I'll revisit it a lot, but I probably will revisit it from time to time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think about like, you know, packaging, any of the other stuff with it?
You know, I think the cover is good, but I kind of got, I don't know why, I kind of got staring at it last night, and I was just like, it's so weird. Like it's, the John and Respect part is so blurry that I'm just like, I don't know. But yeah, I think it works. It kind of gives you an idea of what it's going to be, maybe. I don't know. If you
No, I agree. I think it works. It kind of has that, looks like a neon light kind of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I actually think it works pretty well for the cover, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't love the rest of the layout.
Really?
completely.
So I just flipped to the next page, which is a black and white, where they have pictures of the band kind of cut out and the lyrics kind of torn out and stuff like that. I think this is a great layout. You don't?
I mean,
'Cause
it's
here's what
definitely
bothers
got
me.
like the punk,
Yes.
kind of thing, and they're all wearing white shirts, so it's
They're all
kind of
wearing
they're
white
trying to
shirts.
look like the greaser type look or something.
Yeah. But then when we get to the next one, which is in color, this bothers me.
Well, this basically looks like some collage that somebody made
Yes.
of like all photos of them and their friends. There's a lot of them with like girls, by the way, which is funny to me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, one looks like a prom photo. Like, it's fine. It's just weird. It's also got like the way that the like thank yous are kind of imposed over it.
Yeah.
Makes them hard to read.
It's hard to read. I didn't read these because they were hard to read.
Yeah, it's fine. I agree with you. That's worse than the other part.
Yeah. The third page is back to the black and white thing, kind of like the second page. I just like this. I think it looks good. I think it looks good for what it is. I think it works. It kind of has that same kind of aesthetic that it's somewhere in between kind of the punk rock aesthetic of Blast of the Rocket Boy,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe a little bit of that, the kind of like the first Joe Christmas album,
Yeah, okay.
But I think it has a nice punk rock aesthetic. And then the back here, same thing. And it's got a picture of...
Yeah, do we know who that is?
No. July 1958.
Some like very like late 50s looking guy playing a guitar and kind of leaning back from the microphone.
Yeah. It looks like he's having quite a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the CD itself, I'm like, whatever. It does its job. This is drawing as in the side of it. They must either someone in the band draws or they know someone who draws, because they have a lot of kind of drawings like this with different takes on their logo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the back of the CD is pretty bad. It's a black and white photo with pink track list, but then it has kind of like a glow done in Photoshop, but it's hard to read because of that. It's too much of a glow. Yeah.
Okay.
It's ugly. Yeah. I do like the gallon of water just sitting here on stage. Look, a 5 Iron Frenzy shirt. This is probably from that tour with 5 Iron Frenzy. Anyways, overall though, I do like the CD art. Yeah.
Right.
What do you think of the name, Johnny Respect?
I don't love it. I also don't hate it, and I feel like for this type of sound, it works pretty well. I kind of liked The Adventures of Johnny Respect, but I get that was probably just too long, and probably everybody was calling him Johnny Respect anyway because nobody wants to say all that, and so
exactly
it just probably worked.
I kind of like it as a name. It supposedly comes from an article about, I forget, one of the members of Sex Pistols or something like that was putting out a solo album, and whatever Johnny, and Johnny was going to get some respect with this album.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's where it comes from. Yeah, I think it works though. I kind of like it. I will say that you will notice that Sam, even though he's a late joiner to the band, he does a lot. Like he did the artwork and cover, it looks like, partially. Later on, looking at their website, he does a lot of the stuff on the website stuff. In the lyric books, in the book here, he's listed as guitar and stage presence.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't look up this website. I just saw this one.
I tried.
Okay.
Yeah, I couldn't get it to work.
Okay, it's www.serve.com/Johnny Respect. We did find their website, and there wasn't much to it that you could see.
Yeah, no links to like interviews or anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, so that's something that of all the kind of podcasts and everything doing interviews with people from back then, they haven't done anything of that sort. They did have a reunion tour, not a tour. They had a reunion show back in 2017, which we'll talk about here in a second. But they didn't have any interviews around that time or anything. The author of Seen and Unseen, Alex Delavan, he actually put me in contact with Sam and Phil, but I haven't said anything to them yet because it was late at night 2 nights ago, and I kind of forgot about it. I was also pretty high, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But maybe we can get them on here and talk to them because I would really like to.
Yeah, and I know you're about to say where are they now. I think they didn't they just play again recently with Insiders?
Did they?
I think there was a recent show just this year. One of the shows Insiders was doing before Furnace Fest, and I think they played with them. Yeah.
Damn it! I wish I'd known that. Yeah. Okay. All right. Ask me where they are now.
Clifton, where are they now?
All right, so in 1998, they released their second album, Life Ain't What It Used to Be, also on Bulletproof. I never listened to it, Jay. I don't know why. I never listened to it. I was still, I don't know. It wasn't this sound, though. It was a different sound. It was no rockabilly. It was pretty much a straight-up punk rock. Then in 2000, sometime 2000, Bulletproof Grey Dot went out of business, leaving Johnny Respect without a record label. At some point, the drummer, Mark Pulst, left the band, and guitarist Sammy Oginski took his place on drums, leaving the band as a three-piece once again. In 2003, they put out a self-released 3-song EP called Demographics on their own New Pop Records. That's the only release by New Pop Records, but that's the other thing that you can find on Spotify. It seems, like I said, that Sammy O had taken a lot of responsibility in the band. He did the artwork for the EP as well, and most of the posting on the website. From what I can gather, the band played their last show in 2006 and gave away a CDR. Remember CDRs, Jay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can burn things on CDs. Don't ask a kid what that does. That was me being a boomer. All right. But it had tracks, it had album tracks and rarities, so it had stuff from that early 7-inch. It had stuff from both albums, and it had some other things from a few other places. And it had 3 other songs recorded after the Demographics EP. The group got back together in 2008 for Ripped Heart Productions' 20th anniversary show. I don't know what Ripped Heart Productions is. And then again, they got back together in late 2017 for the publishing of that book, Seen and Unseen, which include the artwork for flyers for that venue called The Underground. Alex told me that he asked them to be a part of that event by sending them a giant banner, a giant Johnny Respect banner.
That he still had from back in the day?
I don't know. I think he had it made, but maybe, I don't know. That's a good question. That's a great question. I didn't ask him that. Shit. I just assumed he had it made for that, but yeah, I don't know. And then according to the Christian Underground Encyclopedia, members of this band are still part of the worship band at Community Christian Church in Sterling Heights, Michigan.
Okay. And I just sent you a thing in the chat, but it does look like they played with the Insiders this past April. In Grand Rapids, and I think another time possibly in Detroit. So, yeah. So, Clifton, what are we doing for our next episode?
All right. For our next episode, probably we might do things a little bit out of order here because we are leaving to go to that fest here pretty soon. Fest. We're probably going to have on Donovan from the Excommunication Station podcast to talk a little bit about everyone's favorite Christian artist, Carmen.
Yeah, so if you've actually kind of liked these last 2 episodes and you kind of like that music and you're like, oh, this is pretty good, this next one will not be that.
Buckle up.
Yep. Buckle up. Lots and lots of Carmen. And if you don't know who Carmen is, you should definitely listen.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll we haven't decided exactly how we're gonna do the episode yet, if we're gonna do an album or if we're gonna do just some selected songs. But we'll get that figured out before we record.
Yeah, probably.
We also might have a special episode coming out because Jay, I did get my spy equipment, so I can go to.
Clifton is going to visit one of the last remaining, it seems to me, Christian bookstores undercover.
Christian bookstores, yes. I want to see if they still have Christian music.
And even if not, I'm sure you'll find lots of other knickknacks to have fun with. So
yes,
it should be entertaining.
Yes. So those 2 episodes are coming up soon. Who knows what order they'll be in.
Yep.
All right, cool. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us.
If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode. Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and to get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen. We're on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us. And send complaints and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com.
The music in this episode is the work of Johnny Respect and his use with apologies, not permission. I did find that you could one time buy some of their stuff on a website called Big Cartel, but it's not there anymore, so I don't know if there's a way to support the band right now.
If someone knows, let us know.
Other than listen to their music on Spotify and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now they only have like 70 monthly listeners, so everyone needs to go listen to Johnny Respect. Cool. Bye.
All right, bye, guys. But at least it's something.